My wife thought she could make me jealous by fake flirting with her coworker, and when I approved her exploration, she discovered I'd already found someone way better. It started on a Thursday evening when she walked through the front door with that look. You know the one, when someone's been getting advice they think is brilliant. She'd been out with her divorced friends again, and I could practically smell the desperation and bad decisions on her. "We need to talk," she announced, setting her purse down with more force than necessary. I looked up from my laptop where I'd been reviewing some reports. About what? About us. About how you take me for granted. Here we go. I closed the laptop and gave her my full attention. "I take you for granted how exactly?" She crossed her arms, clearly rehearsing lines she'd practiced. "You never show me you care anymore. You don't get jealous when other men look at me. You don't fight for me. Should I be fighting someone? That's exactly what I mean." She threw her hands up. A real man would be protective, would show some passion. I leaned back in my chair. "So you want me to get jealous? Act possessive? Maybe I do. Maybe I want to feel wanted. And how exactly are you planning to test this theory?" She hesitated for just a moment. "There's this guy at work. He's been friendly, asking me to lunch, complimenting me. And you know what? Maybe I should start appreciating the attention." The new guy in marketing? Her eyes widened slightly. She hadn't expected me to know about him. "How do you? You mentioned him. Tall, single, drives the BMW. That guy. Yes, that guy. And maybe I should explore my options. See what else is out there." The silence stretched between us. She was waiting for me to panic, to beg, to promise to change, to prove that I couldn't live without her. Instead, I smiled. "Exploration approved." "What? You heard me. Explore away. In fact, I think it's a great idea." The color drained from her face. You're okay with me flirting with another man?" "More than okay. I encourage it. Really test those waters. See what you can catch." She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. But you're supposed to fight for me. Why would I fight for something that doesn't want to be kept? That's not. I didn't say I wanted to leave. I just said maybe I should see what's out there. And I said go for it. Window shopping never hurt anyone. She opened her mouth, then closed it. This wasn't going according to the script her divorced friends had given her. "You really don't care if I flirt with him?" "Honey, if you think flirting with some marketing guy is going to make me jealous, you clearly don't understand your own worth in this relationship." "What's that supposed to mean?" I stood up and walked past her toward the kitchen. "It means you're free to do whatever you think will make you happy. Just don't expect me to play the desperate husband role." "But marriages require effort from both people." "Absolutely. And threats aren't effort. They're manipulation." She followed me into the kitchen, her voice getting higher. "It's not a threat. It's about making you realize what you have." I know exactly what I have. I opened the refrigerator and grabbed a beer. "The question is, do you?" "Of course I do. Then why do you need validation from random coworkers?" She had no answer for that. The whole conversation had derailed from her carefully planned script. "Look," I said, taking a sip of my beer. "If you want to flirt with marketing guy, go ahead. If you want to get lunch with him, have fun. If you want to see what else is out there, by all means, explore. You're being ridiculous." Am I? Or am I just not playing the game you expected me to play? She stared at me for a long moment. "Fine. Maybe I will explore my options." "Good for you. Don't think I won't. I hope you do. Really. I hope you find exactly what you're looking for." The next morning, she spent an extra hour getting ready for work. More makeup than usual, a dress that showed just enough to be office appropriate but attention-grabbing. She was committed to this plan. "Have a great day exploring," I called out as she left. She slammed the door just a little too hard. What she didn't know was that while she'd been out getting advice from her bitter, divorced friends, I'd been having my own interesting conversations. An old college friend had moved back to town recently. We'd reconnected through mutual friends, grabbed coffee a couple times. Purely platonic, of course. But if my wife wanted to play games about options and exploration, well, I'd always been good at games. The difference was I played to win. The following week, my wife doubled down on her little experiment. She started coming home with stories about lunch conversations, casual mentions of compliments, and strategic updates about her new friend at work. Each story was delivered with the careful calculation of someone waiting for a reaction. "He said I looked amazing in blue today," she announced Tuesday evening, clearly expecting me to bristle. "Blue's definitely your color," I replied without looking up from my phone. "He offered to drive me to that conference next month. You know, the one in the city." That's convenient. Traffic can be brutal on that route. Her frustration was becoming visible. The script her divorced friends had given her wasn't working, and she was running out of material. Meanwhile, I had my own developments to navigate. My college friend had texted about meeting up again. Nothing inappropriate, just two old friends catching up. But the timing was interesting. Her name was from our economics class, brilliant even back then. She'd moved to New York after graduation, built an impressive career in corporate consulting, traveled the world. Recently divorced herself, though for very different reasons than my wife's friends. Her ex-husband couldn't handle her success. We met for coffee Wednesday afternoon. She looked incredible, confident, accomplished, genuinely interesting. The kind of woman who chose to be single rather than settle for less than she deserved. "You seem different," she said as we sat in the corner booth at the coffee shop downtown. "More settled? Content. Things have been interesting lately." She laughed. "That's the most diplomatic way I've ever heard someone describe marital drama." "How did you know?" "Because I know that look. I wore it for the last 2 years of my marriage." We talked for 3 hours. About careers, life changes, the strange ways people grow apart. She was refreshingly direct. No games, no manipulation. Just honest conversation between two adults. When I got home that evening, my wife was waiting with another performance. "He texted me after work," she announced, waving her phone. "Just wanted to make sure I got home safely." Thoughtful of him. Most husbands would be upset about another man texting their wife. Most wives wouldn't announce it like they're reading a script. She froze. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing. Just interesting how choreographed this all feels." Choreographed. The strategic mentions, the careful timing, the way you're watching for my reaction to every detail. It's like watching someone perform a one-person play. Her face flushed. "I'm just sharing my day with my husband." "Are you? Or are you trying to make me jealous?" "Maybe a little jealousy would be healthy for this marriage. Maybe. Or maybe it would just prove that neither of us trusts the other." She had no comeback for that. The next day, she escalated. She came home with news that marketing guy had asked her to grab drinks after work Friday. "Just as friends, of course," she added with obvious insincerity. "Sounds fun," I said. "I actually have plans Friday evening myself." "Plans? What plans?" "Coffee with an old friend. You remember her from college? Economics major, went to New York after graduation." The color drained from her face. "Her? Yeah, she's back in town. We've caught up a couple times. Really interesting to see how much people can accomplish when they focus on their goals." "You've been meeting with another woman?" "Just like you've been having lunch with another man." "Fair's fair, right?" "That's completely different." "How so?" Because I told you about it. And I just told you about my plans. So we're even." She sputtered for a moment, clearly not expecting this turn. "But you said exploration was approved." "You encouraged me." "I did. And I took your advice. Turns out exploration works both ways." "This isn't what I meant." "What did you mean exactly?" She couldn't answer because saying it out loud would reveal the manipulation she'd been attempting. She wanted me to panic while she held all the cards. She wanted the security of our marriage while enjoying the thrill of male attention. What she got instead was a husband who called her bluff. Friday evening, I met my friend at that wine bar downtown. She wore a black dress that probably cost more than my wife spent on clothes in 3 months. We talked about her consulting work, her travels, her plans to start her own firm. "Your wife's okay with us meeting like this?" she asked over our second glass of wine. "She's currently at drinks with a male coworker, testing whether I'll get jealous." She raised an eyebrow. "And are you?" "Jealous? No. Should I be?" "That depends. Do you trust her?" "I trust her to do exactly what she's doing." She smiled. "That's either very secure or very detached. Maybe both." When I got home that night, my wife was already there, sitting on the couch with her arms crossed. She'd clearly been waiting. "How was your drinks?" I asked casually. "Fine. How was your coffee?" "Excellent." She's even more impressive than I remembered. Impressive how? Smart, successful, knows what she wants. It's refreshing to talk to someone so direct. My wife's jaw tightened. Direct about what? Everything. No games, no hidden agendas. Very different from some conversations I have. The implication hung in the air between us. She'd started this game thinking she held all the advantages. Now she was beginning to realize she might have miscalculated. The weekend passed in strange tension. My wife kept fishing for details about my Friday evening, while simultaneously trying to make her own drinks sound more exciting than they apparently were. "He's really funny," she said Sunday morning over breakfast. "Very charming. Good for him. And successful. He drives that BMW 5 Series. You mentioned that. He's thinking about buying a house in Westfield. You know, where all the nice properties are." I looked up from my coffee. "Westfield? On a marketing salary?" She paused. He has family money. Ah, trust fund baby. That explains the confidence." Her defensive expression told me everything I needed to know. Marketing guy was probably nice enough, but hardly the catch she was pretending he was. Monday morning, she left for work with renewed determination. Whatever her divorced friends had told her over the weekend, it had recharged her commitment to this charade. But Monday afternoon changed everything. I was leaving the office early for a dentist appointment when I saw them. My wife and her college friend having lunch at that trendy place downtown. The place my wife claimed was too expensive for regular lunch dates. They were sitting close, talking intently. My wife was laughing at something, touching her arm casually. Nothing inappropriate, just two friends catching up. But here's what my wife didn't know. My college friend was absolutely stunning. Not just attractive, but striking in a way that made people stop and look twice. Tall, elegant, perfectly put together. The kind of woman who commanded attention without trying. More importantly, she was genuinely accomplished. Her consulting firm's logo was on buildings downtown. She'd been featured in business magazines. Real success, not just marketing department chatter about BMW payments. I didn't interrupt their lunch. Instead, I went to my appointment and decided to let events unfold naturally. That evening, my wife came home with less enthusiasm than usual. "How was your day?" I asked. "Fine. Quiet. Marketing guy still being charming. He was busy today. Too bad." She looked at me carefully. "What did you do for lunch?" "Grabbed a sandwich. Nothing exciting." She nodded, but I could see wheels turning. Something had shifted in her confidence. Tuesday, she was distracted all day. Wednesday, she barely mentioned her coworker at all. Thursday evening, she confronted me directly. "I saw you downtown Monday." "Okay. You were coming out of that building on 5th Street. Dentist appointment. The woman you've been meeting with. She works in that building." I set down my tablet and looked at her. "Why?" "Just curious." "About what specifically?" "About who she is. What she does." "I told you. College friend, economics major, consulting work." "What kind of consulting?" "Corporate strategy, mergers and acquisitions. That sort of thing." Her face went pale. That's a big deal, isn't it?" "She seems to think so." "And she's single?" "Recently divorced." "Because?" "Her ex-husband couldn't handle her success." The silence stretched between us. I could practically hear her mental calculations running. "How successful are we talking?" "Successful enough to have lunch at places you think are too expensive." Her eyes widened. "You saw us. I saw you having lunch with a very attractive, very accomplished woman. I assumed you'd finally decided to network with successful people instead of just talking about it." "That's not. We were just." "Just what?" She couldn't finish the sentence because admitting she'd been investigating my friend would reveal her own game completely. Friday morning, everything came to a head. My wife's phone buzzed during breakfast, and when she checked it, her face went white. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Nothing. Just work stuff." But I could see the text preview on her screen. One of her divorced friends had sent a link to a business article. The headline was visible. Local consultant named rising star in corporate strategy. The article featured a photo of my college friend receiving some industry award. The photo was striking, confident, successful, genuinely impressive. My wife stared at her phone for a long moment, then looked up at me. "This is the woman you've been meeting with." "That's her. She's beautiful. She's accomplished, and rich, and intelligent, and available, and interested in spending time with people who appreciate good conversation." My wife set her phone down with shaking hands. The reality was hitting her hard. While she'd been playing games with some marketing guy who talked about family money and BMW payments, I'd been reconnecting with a woman who actually embodied everything she'd been pretending to want. "This isn't fair," she whispered. "What isn't fair?" "You said I could explore my options." "You can. You are. But you're exploring yours too. You encouraged it, remember? Said maybe you should see what else was out there." I thought it was excellent advice. But I didn't mean what? Didn't mean I should actually take you seriously? Didn't mean I should find someone who's actually worth my time. She had no answer. The game she'd started was being played at a level she hadn't anticipated. Her phone buzzed again. Another text from her divorced friends, probably asking for updates on her exploration. She turned the phone face down and looked at me with something close to panic. "What do you want me to say?" she asked quietly. "I want you to say whatever you mean. Not what you think I want to hear. Not what your friends coached you to say. What you actually mean." For the first time in weeks, she was speechless. The shift in my wife's behavior was immediate and obvious. Gone was the strategic mention of marketing guy. Gone were the carefully timed updates about lunch invitations and compliments. Instead, she launched into full damage control mode. "I've been thinking," she announced Friday evening. "Maybe this whole exploration thing was a mistake." "Mistake how? I mean, why look elsewhere when I have everything I need right here?" I continued reading my book. "Do you?" "Of course I do. We have a good marriage. We're happy. Are we?" She sat down next to me on the couch, closer than she'd sat in weeks. "I think we are. I think I just let my friends get in my head with all their divorce talk." "Your friends who encouraged you to make me jealous?" She flinched. "They meant well. They don't understand our relationship." "What exactly did they tell you to do?" "It doesn't matter now. I'm curious." She hesitated, then sighed. "They said men don't appreciate what they have until someone else wants it. They said I should make you fight for me. And how was flirting with marketing guys supposed to accomplish that? They said if you saw other men were interested, you'd realize you could lose me. Then you'd start making more effort." I closed my book and looked at her. So this was all calculated. Not calculated exactly. More like a wake-up call. For who? For you. For us. And now I realize it was stupid. I don't need other men's attention. I need my husband's attention. You've always had my attention. But not your jealousy. Not your fear of losing me. You want me to be afraid of losing you. I want you to care enough to fight for me. Why would I fight for someone who's actively looking for reasons to leave? She had no answer for that logic. Saturday morning, she tried a different approach. She made my favorite breakfast, wore the dress I'd complimented years ago, suggested we spend the day together. "We could drive up to that winery you mentioned," she said brightly. "Make a day of it. I actually have plans." Her smile faltered. "Plans? Meeting a friend for coffee. The same friend." "Yes. Can't you reschedule?" "Why would I?" "Because I'm your wife, and I'm asking you to spend time with me. The same wife who's been spending her lunches with another man for the past 2 weeks. That's different." "How is it different?" "Because I'm stopping all that. I told him yesterday that I couldn't have lunch anymore, that it wasn't appropriate." "You told him that?" "Yes. I explained that I'm married and need to focus on my marriage." "What did he say?" "He understood. He said he respected that." I nodded. "Good for him. So now can we focus on us?" "I'm not stopping you from focusing on anything you want." She stared at me. "But you're still meeting with her." "Why wouldn't I?" "Because I asked you to spend time with me instead. And I'm not stopping you from asking. Just like you weren't stopping marketing guy from asking you to lunch." The parallel hit her hard. She could see the trap she'd created for herself. Sunday, she tried guilt. "I feel like you're punishing me," she said over dinner. "For what?" "For making a mistake. For listening to bad advice." "I'm not punishing anyone. I'm living my life." "But your life includes spending time with another woman." "My life includes spending time with a friend. A very attractive, successful friend." "Yes. Who's interested in you?" "She enjoys my company." "And you enjoy hers?" "Very much. More than you enjoy mine." I set down my fork. "That's an interesting question." "What's interesting about it?" "You're asking me to compare the woman who's been trying to manipulate me for weeks with someone who's been nothing but honest and direct." "I wasn't trying to manipulate you." "What would you call it?" "I was trying to save our marriage. By threatening to leave it. By making you realize what you had." "And what did I have exactly?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. The question had more layers than she'd expected. Monday, she went full desperation mode. She came home from work with flowers for me. She'd made dinner reservations at the restaurant where we had our first date. She'd even bought new lingerie. "I want to start over," she announced. "Forget the past few weeks. Focus on us." "That's a nice thought. So you'll cancel your coffee dates?" "Why would I do that?" "Because I'm asking you to choose. Her or me." I laughed. Actually laughed. "You're giving me an ultimatum?" "I'm asking my husband to prioritize his marriage. The same marriage you were ready to explore your way out of 2 weeks ago." I made a mistake. And now you want me to make one too? What mistake would you be making? Giving up a genuine friendship because my wife feels threatened by a woman who's everything she pretends to be. The words hung in the air like a slap. She knew exactly what I meant. I don't pretend to be anything, she said quietly. Don't you? When was the last time you accomplished something you were genuinely proud of? When was the last time you had a conversation about your goals instead of your grievances? That's not fair, isn't it? You want me to give up time with someone who inspires me to spend time with someone who's been trying to make me jealous. She inspires you? Every conversation. She talks about building something, creating value, pushing boundaries. It's refreshing. My wife's face crumpled. For the first time, she was seeing the real comparison. Not just attractiveness or success, but fundamental differences in approach to life. What does that make me? She whispered. That makes you someone who needs to decide what she actually wants. Not what her divorced friends tell her to want. What she actually wants. She sat in silence for a long moment, finally understanding that her little game had revealed more about our marriage than she'd intended. Tuesday evening brought the explosion I'd been expecting. My wife came home from another emergency session with her divorced friends, and her entire demeanor screamed confrontation. We need to talk. Right now. I looked up from my laptop. I'm listening. No, not like this. Put that away. This is serious. I closed the laptop and gave her my full attention. What's on your mind? This stops today. All of it. What stops? Your friendship with her. These coffee dates. This whole thing you're doing. And what thing am I doing exactly? You're having an emotional affair. I almost laughed. An emotional affair? Yes. You're connecting with another woman, sharing intimate conversations, building a relationship outside our marriage. You mean like you were doing with marketing guy? That was completely different. How? Because I wasn't serious about it. It was just testing the waters. Testing the waters is having an emotional affair. No, because I wasn't actually connecting with him. I was just seeing if you'd care. The admission hung between us. She'd finally said it out loud. So when you do it, it's testing. When I do it, it's cheating. You're actually connecting with her. You actually enjoy her company. And that's worse than manipulating someone for a reaction. She threw her hands up. You're missing the point. What is the point? The point is you're my husband. You took vows. You promised to forsake all others. As did you. Before you decided to explore your options. I told you that was a mistake. And I told you, exploration approved. You can't call it off now because you don't like where it led. But you're supposed to fight for our marriage. I am fighting for our marriage. By refusing to play games that damage it. How is this fighting for our marriage? Because I'm showing you what an actual relationship looks like. What it feels like to connect with someone who isn't trying to manipulate you. Her face flushed red. So you admit it. You're comparing me to her. Every day. And she wins. Every single time. The words hit her like a physical blow. She staggered back a step. That's cruel. It's honest. Which is more than I can say for this entire conversation. How is this honest? Because you don't actually want me to stop seeing her. You want me to grovel and beg and promise to be a better husband while you continue to hold the threat of leaving over my head. That's not true, isn't it? Your friends told you to make me fight for you. This is you trying to make me fight. Except you picked the wrong battle. What's that supposed to mean? It means I won't fight to keep someone who doesn't want to be kept. But I will fight to build something with someone who does. You're building something with her? We're discussing it. The color drained from her face. Discussing what? Her offer. What offer? She's starting her own consulting firm. She asked if I'd be interested in joining her. Partnership track. Partnership? Turns out my skills translate well to corporate strategy. Who knew? You can't be serious. Dead serious. It's an incredible opportunity. But your job here. What about it? Dead-end position, mediocre pay, no growth potential. It's stable. So is poverty. You can't just throw away everything we've built. What have we built? A house, a mortgage, a routine, a life together. Have we? Because for the past month you've been actively trying to tear it down. I was trying to improve it, by threatening to leave, by making you appreciate what you have. And instead I discovered what I could have. She started crying then. Not the manipulative tears she'd used before, but genuine panic. Please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This got out of hand. I never meant for any of this to happen. Which part didn't you mean? The flirting? The threats? The ultimatums? All of it. I just wanted you to show me you cared. I cared enough to let you explore exactly what you said you wanted to explore. But I didn't want to explore. I wanted you to stop me. Why would I stop someone from doing what they claim they want to do? Because you love me. Do I? The question stopped her cold. Of course you do. We're married. We've been together for years. Time doesn't equal love, and marriage doesn't guarantee it. Then what does? Choice. Every day choosing to be with someone because you want to be, not because you're trapped or obligated or scared to leave. I choose you. Now you do. After you realized what you stood to lose. Isn't that what matters? Not to me. I want someone who chooses me first, not someone who chooses me after exhausting other options. She chooses you first. She chooses honestly. She says what she means. She wants what she wants without games or tests or manipulation. And what does she want? A partner. Someone who matches her energy and ambition. Someone who builds instead of tears down. I can be that. Can you? Or will you be that until the next time your friends convince you to test me? She had no answer because we both knew the truth. This wasn't an isolated incident. This was a pattern. So what happens now? She whispered. Now you decide what you actually want. Not what you think you should want. Not what your friends tell you to want. What you actually want. I want my marriage. Do you? Or do you want the security of marriage while keeping the option to leave whenever you feel unappreciated? I want you. You want someone who'll fight for you even when you're actively pushing them away. That's not love. That's codependency. She looked at me with something like horror. You've already decided, haven't you? I've decided I won't be anyone's backup plan. I won't be the safe choice someone settles for after testing other waters. What if I promise? Don't. Don't make promises you can't keep. Don't make commitments you'll resent later. Then what? Then you figure out who you are without someone else telling you what to think. And I'll figure out what I want without someone testing whether I deserve it. She stood there in our living room, finally understanding that the game she'd started had consequences she'd never imagined. Her fake flirting had become very real loneliness, and my approved exploration had become her worst nightmare. 3 weeks later, everything had changed. My wife had moved in with one of her divorced friends temporarily, claiming she needed space to think. The irony wasn't lost on me that she'd ended up exactly where her advice had come from. I was sitting in my home office, reviewing partnership agreements for the consulting firm, when she called. Can we meet? I need to talk to you. About what? About us. About fixing this. We met at a neutral location, the same coffee shop where I'd been meeting my business partner. She looked tired, worn down by whatever reality checks her temporary living situation had provided. I've been thinking, she began. Good. Thinking is useful. I want to come home. I want to work on our marriage. What's changed? I realize I made a mistake. A huge mistake. Which mistake specifically? All of it. The flirting, the games, listening to my friends. I nearly destroyed something good. Did you? Or did you reveal what it actually was? She flinched. What do you mean? I mean, maybe you didn't destroy something good. Maybe you exposed something that was already broken. Our marriage wasn't broken, wasn't it? You felt so unfulfilled that you needed validation from strangers. I felt so disconnected that I found better conversation elsewhere. That sounds broken to me. But we can fix it. Can we? Or do we just go back to pretending everything's fine until the next test? There won't be a next test. How do you know? Because I learned my lesson. What lesson? That I can't take you for granted. I shook my head. That's not the lesson. Then what is? The lesson is that manipulation doesn't create love. It destroys it. She was quiet for a moment. I know that now. Do you? Or do you just know that this particular manipulation backfired? I'm not trying to manipulate you now, aren't you? You're asking me to give up a partnership opportunity and a relationship that's brought me genuine happiness to come back to a marriage that was making both of us miserable. It wasn't making me miserable. Then why did you need to test it? She had no answer. Here's what I've learned. I continued. I've learned what it feels like to be with someone who builds me up instead of tearing me down. Someone who celebrates my success instead of resenting it. Someone who says what she means and means what she says. I can be that person. Maybe you can. But I've already found someone who is that person. You're choosing her over me? I'm choosing authenticity over manipulation. I'm choosing growth over stagnation. I'm choosing partnership over power games. But we have history. We do. And most of it consists of you testing whether I'm worthy of staying with. That's not fair. Fair? You started fake flirting with a coworker to make me jealous, And when I didn't react the way you wanted, you escalated to threatening to explore your options. I called your bluff, found someone actually worth exploring options with, and now you want to cry about fairness. She started crying again. I never meant for it to go this far. But it did go this far. And it revealed who we really are. Who are we? You're someone who needs constant validation and will manipulate to get it. I'm someone who won't provide that validation on demand. And her, she's someone who doesn't need validation because she validates herself through her actions and achievements. So that's it. 5 years of marriage means nothing. 5 years of marriage means we tried. It also means we failed. We can try again. Why would I try again with someone who's proven they'll sabotage what we build whenever they feel insecure? Because marriage is supposed to be for better or worse. Marriage is supposed to be a partnership, not a hostage situation. She wiped her eyes. What about the house? Our things. You can have whatever you want. I'm starting fresh anyway. Starting fresh where? The consulting firm is based downtown. She's found us office space in that building where you saw me coming out. You're moving in together? We're building something together. Professionally and personally. How long has this been planned? It wasn't planned. It developed organically. You know, the way real relationships do. Real relationships? Relationships built on mutual respect instead of mutual manipulation. She sat in silence for several minutes, finally processing the full scope of what her game had cost her. I suppose there's nothing I can say to change your mind? You could say you're genuinely happy for me, that you want me to succeed and be fulfilled, that you realize you weren't able to provide that. And if I said that, then you'd be showing growth. And maybe your next relationship won't need testing. My next relationship? Marketing guy is still single, isn't he? She looked at me with something between shock and admiration. You planned this. I didn't plan anything. I just refused to play a game I couldn't win. How did you know you couldn't win? Because the only way to win your game was to become someone I'm not. Someone desperate and insecure and willing to beg for scraps of affection. And now I'm someone who earned genuine affection from someone worth having it from. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. My ex-wife had indeed reconnected with marketing guy, though their relationship seemed to consist mainly of him validating her victim narrative about how I'd abandoned our marriage for another woman. My business partner and I were featured in the local business journal for landing our third major corporate client. We'd also gotten engaged, though we kept that private until after the article ran. The announcement prompted a text from my ex-wife. I hope you're happy. I replied, I am. Genuinely. I hope you find that too. She never responded. But honestly, I wasn't looking back anymore. I'd learned the difference between someone who tests your love and someone who builds it. Between someone who threatens to leave and someone who chooses to stay. Between someone who plays games and someone who plays for keeps. Her fake flirting had become my real future. Her exploration had become my expansion. Her manipulation had become my liberation. Sometimes the best response to someone threatening to leave is helping them find a door. And sometimes the best thing that can happen to a marriage is for it to end before it destroys both people in it. I'd started this story being tested. I ended it having passed a test I didn't even know I was taking. The test of whether I valued myself enough to walk away from someone who didn't.